What does entrepreneurial transformation look like for a coach? We start out as hopeful beginners, and so many new coaches are too blank to start, meaning they're too afraid to start. They're too lazy to start. There's something they just don't quite have. They think, I'm not that person. They're like, yeah, maybe I could do that, but no, I'm too blank to start. And then they exit that process, or possibly they come back and become a hopeful beginner. And so many of them, of course, just wimp out. But at some point, they engage in an initial project. Like, I'm committing to this one thing, I'll do a project here. And out of that project, they'll experience some success. And this is the honeymoon phase, right? This is a honeymoon success from the low-hanging fruit we talked about earlier. Usually the first thing we do, by the way, after that success is we celebrate. The moment you're celebrating, you already are starting to turn down on that curve, because when you're celebrating, what you're not doing is you're not making the next project happen. And then very soon we meet with disappointment. And that's when we start to experience the struggle. And then if you continue that process, you identify the problem, you plan solutions, and you start a new project to solve that problem. This is where you start to see some good signs. It's like, oh, hey, maybe things are getting better. And they do not get better. They get worse. You've already solved the problem, it's getting worse. That's when hopelessness starts to ensue. Hal Elrod experienced hopelessness when he called me that day, and he had a mass exodus of clients after making 6 figures his first year as a coach. Hopeless is what, he wouldn't have used that word, but I certainly felt it from him. And if you don't give up, then finisher's mindset is what you would take on. The finisher's mindset, being unstoppable, you have to be hopeless in order to take that on, because if you're not hopeless, you don't need to be unstoppable. You're just riding positive vibes. So you're hopeless, then you take on a finisher's mindset, i.e. you become unstoppable. You complete that project, and then over time, eventually you start to turn the tide. Now, the first emotion a lot of people experience is surprise and doubt. Like, what? This is actually working? I can't believe it. After so many failures, after so many problems, after so much hopelessness, if you continue on that journey, you plan more projects, you start more projects, you continue to move on. It's easy to get lazy though, because now things are getting better. And so what most people do when they're out of pain, as soon as they get out of that pain, they're like, oh, this is better. And they get lazy. But if you transform that laziness and you double down, that's the next step. You get more projects complete, and over time, that's when you become the prosperous coach. An accomplished, confident, enthusiastic, growth-minded, serious, committed business operator. Throughout this process, there's 2 never-ending aspects to this. The first one is at the bottom, which is the grind. The grind begins right after you're a hopeful beginner. The grind begins almost instantaneously because the novelty wears off quite quickly. Even before the honeymoon period, the novelty starts to wear off. And then it's the grind. And the grind lasts forever. So there is that experience of grinding that occurs in the journey of entrepreneurial transformation. And then finally, there's this entrepreneurial mindset. Notice the entrepreneurial mindset never goes into the dip. There's always a part of the entrepreneur, if you really have transformed this, that's living above the low point that you're in if you're in the dip, who's thinking beyond that. You're in winter, but you're thinking about summer still. You're thinking about who you need to be to get there. And you're continuing to up-level that over and over and over again, day after day, month after month, year after year, even when you're in the depths of hopelessness and we're grinding out projects and wanting to give up. There's an entrepreneurial mindset that carries you through this, that carries you to the prosperous coach, even as you are going through this dip as well.